Representative Jacob. Thank you, Representative Pierce. Representative Jacob, would you like to speak on the bill? The author yields. She yields. Joanna.
Representative King, in this bill, it integrates the abortion code. When does human life begin per the code in this bill?
This bill is about coercion. This bill is to protect women and to save them from further harm.
Right.
That's the intent of this bill.
But this bill actually integrates the actual abortion code, and it actually specifically talks about when human life begins. So when does human life begin per this bill?
This bill is about coercion and the penalties that will be assigned to coercion when it takes place.
So are you saying that this bill does not address the issue of when human life begins?
This bill is about coercion. It is about saving women and children, young ladies that find themselves in a horrible situation. That is the focus of this bill.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, though, is does this bill have within it when human life begins? Yes or no?
The bill as I have presented is about coercion. That is what 1217 addresses.
Okay. When do you believe human life begins?
Well, I think she's answered the question, Representative Jacob.
My question was specifically about the bill.
And how is it?
I was just asking her specifically when she believes that human life begins.
This bill, 1217, is about coercion and how it relates to protecting women who are being coerced.
Okay. Do you believe that the willful taking of an innocent preborn human being life, no matter what the gestational age, is murder?
It's not
Yes.
what this bill is about, Representative Jacob.
This bill specifically addresses, it has within it the abortion code. It is specifically has in it when human life begins, and it specifically addresses the part of the abortion code that it talks about the ending of that human life. How is that not relevant?
You've asked Representative King multiple times the question. Would you like to speak on the bill, or would you like to try another question?
I'll jump ahead on my questions.
Pardon me?
I'll jump ahead on my questions.
Okay.
I'll jump ahead on my questions. So you're talking about coerced abortion. Do you believe all human life is worthy of equal protection?
This bill is about coercion and how it relates to the crime of coercion in abortion.
Okay, so when we're talking about coercion, can you please tell me who we are depending upon to make sure that coerced women don't get abortions?
We're depending on the law as it is passed to be followed by as the bill was presented this evening.
So the law is going to be present there when there's coercion going on.
This bill will deal with the issues of coercion when it takes place. As I presented this evening, the understanding of what I presented, is there something that you don't understand about how I presented it?
Well, what I'm asking is specifically who deals with the issue of the reporting?
The mandatory reporters are required by this bill to report to law enforcement immediately upon suspected coercion or threats being made.
And the mandatory reporters being the abortion provider?
It includes the list is in here. Yes, all of the providers that are listed in this bill.
Okay. And so this just, I think this will be my last question, but and then I'll speak. But does this bill, I understand it's talking about coercion, but does this bill save any babies?
That is a great question. If you would have heard the testimony that took place in committee, I think you would agree that the women that were in committee and what they said, when they repeatedly said, if only one person would have heard me, my life could have been so different. I do believe this bill will help save babies. I do believe this bill, most importantly, will save women, babies, and will penalize those that choose to coerce.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So permission to speak?
Permission granted.
Thank you. Abortion providers are looking for coerced mothers, like bank robbers are looking for police. The abortion provider's financial success depends upon them looking the other way in these issues. Lest you think that abortion providers are the bastion of nobility, character, honesty, and integrity, look no further than the abortion provider, Planned Parenthood, who traffic baby parts and organs and have covered up sexual abuse. Planned Parenthood was caught sending victims back to their abusers. And we know if these were times they were caught, they've done it much more than that. They're willing to break the rules to murder babies. I've seen other issues come through legislative session on bills for something that very rarely ever happens. Representative King indicated that people felt that they were being coerced. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be uncompassionate to the women who are being pressured with abortion. But when, as Representative Pierce was citing the criminal code, feelings are not a legitimate basis for crimes. I would say that this is the case with the bill's topic of coerced abortions. The reason I say this is that I have done ministry at the abortion mills for years, trying to intercede on behalf of thousands of precious preborn children being taken away to be murdered by their mothers, fathers, and periodically by their grandparents. And I have literally seen thousands of women go into these mills to willingly murder their baby, and I have never seen a woman being forced, coerced, dragged into a clinic to have an abortion. And I do mean I've seen thousands. In fact, there have been times I've seen and witnessed fathers who didn't want the woman to have the abortion. And we were trying to work with the fathers to try to intercede with the mother to try to save the babies. I want to go on record. I absolutely and emphatically think any type of coercion is wrong. I will not revisit what Representative Pierce brought up because I do agree with what he says, is that this is already in the law, and I don't see why we're trying to codify something that's already in law. From what I see, I think it's nothing more than a feel-good bill designed to make it look like we're doing something while really doing nothing. I see this bill as another regulatory abortion bill. It says it's okay to murder a baby if the mom isn't coerced, but it's not okay to murder the baby if the mom is coerced, and only within the first 24 hours of the reporting. So she can go ahead and go through with it 24 hours later. What, are we naive? Do you think that 24 hours later that somehow or another the relationship between this other individual that she's come in with is going to change? Again, we are saying which babies deserve to live and which babies deserve to die according to this bill. It creates two classes of people, showing partiality to one and ignoring the other. We're showing partiality, and God, our Creator, that we talk about in our Constitution, hates partiality. My first question is, who are we depending on to make sure the coerced women don't get abortions? The abortion provider. Whose job is it to deny service and report the situation? The abortion provider. This is utterly ridiculous. It's like the fox guarding the hen house and expecting that the fox is going to rat out on his golden goose. God, our Creator, says in His Word, the Bible, because we're talking about justice here in this bill, justice, and only justice you shall pursue. Partial justice is injustice from God's perspective. You may not agree with that, but you know what? None of us are God. God, our Creator, also says that civil magistrates, which is what we are as legislators, have the responsibility before God to punish the evildoer. Not willy-nilly, but impartially and consistently. Anything less is evil from his perspective. Abortionists also do coercing. They are also the abusers. Let's not forget they murder babies. So how do we keep them accountable? This bill, in essence, asks the abuser to protect the abused while playing on the emotions of those wanting to end abortion. I see it doing nothing to save babies or truly protect women. Again, I'll not revisit what Representative Pierce brought up because I think he made some great points. At the end of the day, the mother signs the paper and then she can kill her baby. The abortionist who makes money off of murdering children will not help the mother, talk the mother out of the abortion. Any law that ends with, and then you can kill the baby, is an evil law. And that's what this law does. God, our Creator, says in His Word, the Bible, woe to those who enact evil statutes. And this is an evil statute. We have a bill, House Bill 1282, which would abolish abortion immediately. But that bill dies in committee for the 6th year in a row. If we would have dealt with that and abolished abortion, we wouldn't have to be here dealing with this. If this passes, will coerced abortion just be another list of items on a paper that they sign before they can kill their baby? I love preborn babies and the mothers and fathers, and I want to see abortion ended immediately. For this and many other reasons, I cannot support this bill and will be voting no, and felt it my duty to make it clear as to why I was a no vote on this bill. And rather, I would ask that you support HB 1282, which would abolish abortion immediately. Thank you.
Further discussion on the bill. Representative Fry, speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House. And yes, I can read the clock. I just want you all to know, I worked in the street for 26 years, and a lot of what we saw were very young mothers who were going to deliver their baby. We saw the ones who got pregnant. A lot of times it was by the mother's boyfriend. He's no longer in this situation. He's gone. And this young woman is carrying this baby to term. Those are the ones we saw. The ones we didn't see were the ones who covered the crime up by taking this young woman and requiring or forcing or coercing her to have an abortion. If you don't believe that happens, come into the real world. It does. And so I think this is a great bill. I thank Representative King for bringing it. I thank Representative Fleming for her testimony. I would hope that you would support this and we could help defend these young women who find themselves in a situation, most likely in most cases, that they had very little control over. I appreciate your support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Further discussion on the bill. Representative Roray, speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the body. I had the distinct honor and pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of the Crisis Pregnancy Center in Delaware County that has now expanded into Madison County. During my service of nearly 3 years, I lost track of how many young women came into our facility to ask for help. Not help for finding a provider of abortions, but rather help in talking their boyfriend, their mother, their father, their grandmother, their grandfather, their best friend, their sister, or their brother who is pressuring them to get an abortion. It's not just the boyfriends that are pressuring and coercing others. It's oftentimes whoever the young lady is living with, which may be an aunt, an uncle, a mom, a dad, a grandma, or grandpa. I thank you very much, Representative King, for bringing this forward. It's not always the young man that's involved in this. It's everyone involved in that young lady's life. So again, for those of you that say this doesn't happen, I'm here to testify many, many occasions. I lost track of how many young ladies walked through the door saying, I don't want to do this. What are my options? Thank you again for bringing this. I'll be supporting you fully.
First discussion on the bill. Chair sees none. Author has right to close. President.
The policy in the state of Indiana is to support life. This bill supports that. No woman should ever be coerced to have an abortion. I appreciate your support.
Question is on file passage of the bill. All those in favor will, when the machine is open, vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. Are they? All right, I'm going to go on. Representative Pryor. Representative Hatcher. All the members voted. Tally the roll. Roll call shows 73 ayes, 18 noes. The bill is passed. Shall I tie the bill remaining title of the act? Clerk shall inform Senate of the passage of the bill. Senate sponsors. Senator Brown. Final bill of the evening, House Bill 1269, Representative Tor. Chair, hands down on final passage, House Bill 1269.
House Bill 1269, a bill for an act to amend the Indiana.
Chair recognizes Representative Tor to speak on the bill.
Well, other than maybe a couple more motions, I'm the only thing keeping you from getting out of here, so I'm going to be brief. Bill basically does, and conclusion, yeah, thanks. Yeah, get that out in about a minute, maybe 30 seconds. This bill does